Hi, everyone. So good to have you join us today. I'm so excited about our speaker, and he's not new to probably most of you. Nicholas Love, well known in Arizona and nationally and internationally, actually. Nicholas is going to be talking to us about some very different things than perhaps what you are familiar with. He and I have been talking a lot lately, and every conversation, there's so many new things that he shares about himself and the work that he's doing. So I know that everybody is in for a real learning experience here. So Nicholas is with the World Institute on Disability, and he's going to talk about Disability Benefits 101, but how can we use that differently? So he has a lot to share, and I don't want to take away from his time. And so, Nicholas, we're so grateful that you're here, and thank you for sharing all of your knowledge and experience and these great tools with us.
Thank you, Wendy. When you said I'm Nicholas Love, I am with the World Institute on Disability. We are a international global policy change think tank, and we are actually founded by the founders of independent living. So I want to share a little bit about a tool that I hope many of you are aware and use, which is Disability Benefits 101, which was actually created by the World Institute on Disability. Here's my contact information, and you'll be receiving this also later as we move through, as well as the DB 101 link, which is now in the chat. Thank you, Jeff. So I'm just going to give you a little bit for those who don't know what it is. It's a very useful digital tool that's there to help break down the myths, confusion about Social Security benefits, healthcare, employment, and way more. And Arizona's blessed enough to have it. We're one of 10 states. So DB 101 is a tool that's available to anyone with internet access on all different platforms to be able to get online tools and information all in one place, to be able to ease the fears about going to work, to empower people and their families so that they can make informed decision choices. So DB 101 provides accurate information and resources 24/7, 365, all in one place, and gradual information layers. So you don't have to take it all in at once. It doesn't have to be so overwhelming. And the big thing I love about DB 101 is that you don't need to be an expert to use it. It's not a provider tool, quote. It's a tool for all individuals who have disabilities, our families, our circle supports, as well as providers and policymakers. So you don't have to be an expert, and you don't even have to go find an expert to be able to get the information you need when you need it. Safe harbor, no identifying information, so it's not connected to Social Security or any state or government agency. And what most people know about it is about the estimators. That are little tools that are in there to help you actually put in scenarios so you can understand what's going to happen to benefits, healthcare, and cash benefits when one goes to work. There are definitions throughout to be able to help connect to links and information so you can get the terminology very easily. Local resources, state resources, my apologies, national, and it's also available in Spanish. There is a need more help section that's there to be able to connect people not only to free benefit counselors, but to additional supports. And we'll talk about that as we move forward, but there are people that can talk you through every step of DB 101 available for you. So Disability Benefits 101, everybody's thinking benefits, right? Names can be very misleading. DB 101 is way more than benefits. It's about employment and those supports and those resources to help move people towards employment so that they become self-sufficient, so that they can have that financial empowerment and live a fully independent and inclusive life. So we cover employment, financial empowerment, and independent living philosophies throughout. There are ways to connect to every key program in Arizona and the eligibility. So you can connect and learn how to apply for Social Security, food stamps, HUD, but there's also assistance for rental and other, needs, connecting to educational needs, healthcare needs, trust funds, and there's sections specifically for independent living regarding youth and their families, and just a ridiculous amount of resources, all in one spot. So what we're going to focus on today, I mean, it's a lot. It's DB 101. It's a big, big, huge thing. And what we're going to focus about is really narrowing down, getting past that belief structure of just about benefits and talk about virtual pre-employment services. So individuals wanting to go to work and understanding what is available to them need to have a full inclusion. So DP 101 is actually there to help motivate towards and support employment, to help people move out of poverty. So I want to kind of take a step for a moment and talk about, in our current climate, I've been hearing a lot of webinars. I've been having throughout Arizona incredible webinars on how to provide services, what to do. People are at home, people have lost their jobs. I want to take that opportunity, because I do see it as an opportunity, to actually start talking to individuals about going to work. And that's kind of a unique concept right now when so much stuff is still closed. But how do we motivate people towards employment? How do we motivate people to shift? So right now, people are sitting home, and I keep hearing about how to keep people busy. Well, I want to recommend we keep people busy by helping them plan their future. So I want to show you how to use DB 101 to help with that future building. Individuals are home, they're baking. I hear a lot about baking, a lot about crafts, which are wonderful. Those are pre-employment skills. Those are actually skills for work. Those are opportunities to be able to create a movement forward so that when we do return to the world in our new norm, that this new norm includes fully inclusion of individuals with disabilities working. So now is the perfect opportunity to stop and investigate ourselves as individuals with disabilities, where we want to go, what do we want to do, and how are we going to fit into society. I think this is the perfect opportunity. I love the fact that people are baking. I love my cookies, but I would like people to actually stop and do some interest inventories instead. So I'm going to take you into DB 101. And what I want to do is I want to talk to you about one specific part. I'm going to give you a small tour and one article, which is finding the right job for you. Right? And in this one article that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to show you self-assessment tools, personal inventory tools and resources, resume development tools, reasonable accommodation tools, career projections, so looking what the future holds, and where are there's training and support to help people move forward. So really stopping and thinking about employment, because anytime you're talking to someone about what their future is going to be, you need to be able to provide them employment information to move them that way. That is what pre-employment is, giving people information up front. So I'm going to go away from this into DB 101. And we're having a little moment challenge here. And so I think I have to shift what I'm doing for you guys and share something else. So Jeff, can you please tell me if you're seeing DB 101 on the screen now?
I do see it.
Oh, thank goodness. It's really embarrassing when you start talking about virtual technology and it doesn't work. So I'm glad. So this is DB 101, right? And most people know it by the estimators, right? But DB 101 allows information on cash benefits, learning about all the benefits, healthcare, work programs. But your situation about going to work, young people and benefits, this is where I want to focus today. Going to work has several articles within it, getting past the myths, learning what some of those basic myths are, finding the right job for you, going to work, the calculators are here again, but I want to go into finding the right job for you. So what I think would be an incredible opportunity for, and Jeff has just placed the link directly to where I am, so you don't have to go like, where did he click? Thank you, Jeff. This one article is where I'm going to focus today. And this is how advanced DB 101 can actually be. You can do full trainings on one article. So we're going to talk about pre-employment. Pre-employment is giving people information so that not just to prepare them for work, not just so you know, what are those hard skills or soft skills, but actually start thinking about work. So benefit planning in general is a pre-employment billable skill. It's a skill you can use, and you can use DB 101 to do this. So DB 101 has been providing basically virtual supports from the beginning, from 2012. You have on this screen a blue box that says need more help. That need more help is on every page. Those are individuals that Rehab, who happens to be the funder of DB 101, we have an arrangement with Ability 360 for their benefit counselors to be able to provide not only benefit counseling, but to take you step by step through DB 101. So they do DB 101 traditionally. You can go right aside. The phone is a virtual tool, so they can be on the phone with you and do step by step through the process of a calculation, through the process of the whole entire page. That is the same work you can do with people right now. You can be able to provide them information up front and then talk about it later. You could do it right alongside them, or you can even set up a Zoom, and when Zoom, you can actually take controls of someone's computer and help guide them through that direction that way. So you can provide this tool available at any time to people who are not right in front of you. And that's what virtual supports are. And we in Arizona, since we have DB 101, let's use it. So finding the right job for you is a great way to start talking about entering the workforce, to start talking about what do you want to change about your life and how does employment assist that. So throughout this article, I'm going to slowly scroll, but there is a lot of great information. One of the things is even starting to ask, are you ready for work? So here is just a couple questions, right? That says, I have worked in the last 5 years, I have worked but not in the last 5 years, or I haven't worked. And if you receive benefits or not. So if somebody is receiving benefits and they have never worked, and I submit that question, it gives me articles where I should start. So it actually guides you into what articles might be helpful, right? So you can then talk with the people and say, okay, let's go into finding the right job for you, or let's go into programs that support through the One Standard, and actually have those conversations over the phone, through a computer, follow up afterwards. Those are all virtual supports. I'm going to go back. And if I changed it to, I've worked the last 5 years and I don't even have disability benefits, I get different articles. Well, this one I got the same because it's the same feeling. I haven't worked the last 5 years. So you get articles to be able to help move you forward. Okay. So information that's there. I'm going to move us into our next one, which is finding the right job for you. It's slightly different from finding the right job. Now we're finding the right job for you. So what kind of job is right for you? As I scroll down, you're going to see that there are self-assessment and personal inventories. DB 101 is not where all the information is, it's where all the information can be found. So a lot of DB 101 articles will support information and then lead you into other additional resources. So this actually brings you into a resource through the Job Accommodation Network about finding the right job for you, a practical approach for people with disabilities. This is a program, a booklet that explains the whole process. It's only about 20 pages. And each one of these are actually connected to exercises you can do either through the publication itself or through their quizzes. So there's quizzes and worksheets to go through job priorities, overcoming obstacles, and what's your personal inventory, which kind of helps write a resume. So if I just click on quiz and worksheets, it's going to take a little time because we're connected. You have the Job coming in. Jeff, are you seeing that on your screen?
Yes, I am.
Oh, good. Okay. So as you go through here, you can download the PDF, you can do a doc, but you have, sorry, I have to move the chat box out of my way. You have the ability to go through and look at where are the jobs, what kind of skills do you need for the jobs, and you can start taking a job priority worksheet. So when you can look at what are the priorities, for this. I open it up, allowing it to see. I think because we're on Zoom, everything's a little slower. Here we go. And so you have actually a printable worksheet. You could work with someone right there, talking about what are their interests, what are their priorities, top 10, 5 features to help them think about based on your interests, based on your needs, right? So here are the top 10, and then let's narrow that down to 5, right? And then we can move that into what are different features of your priority list. So this is a worksheet that you can kind of work through all those priorities. What are your interests? And then you keep breaking them down, breaking them down, breaking them down. So a very good, easy to use worksheet to help people move forward. Well, that is not what I want to. But you also have the ability to do several other worksheets, opportunities. Are there people, what are the options for helping me move into the workforce? So they give you some examples, and you can go in and you can check out these examples. There's stuff about self-employment, so you can get those resources for self-employment, and there's a self-assessment about self-employment if that's a good option for you, right? And there's ways to help you prepare for the job, prepare for the interview, finding the right help. So these are all publications that you could easily sit down and work with somebody to be able to get the information necessary. Back to DB 101. There's other assessments that are here too, and I'm going to start sharing those with you. But working with someone on the resume development. So you could work on resume development now. You don't have to be in front of someone, right? And you can work through it with them alongside, like I said, or ask them to do work if they're able to, and then share it with you. So self-assessment resources. There is a tool here about My Perfect Resume. You can go in and enter information to be able to allow the individual to have the resume be built for them. If they're in high school, if they have no work experience, if they have a gap in experience, all these things are taken in consideration, and then adjust the resume for you to be able to move forward. So that's a resume development is definitely a service that you can provide, and here's how to do it virtually. It can connect you to career exploration, the one-stops. So here's a career exploration page. Sorry, I won't close that window. My apologies. Where you can put in different ways to search. There's self-assessments on this tool. So working with people remotely to be able to do that. Learning about different career, planning your career. You can go in and you can put in, in Tempe, Arizona, and I can start searching different profiles for jobs that are in that area to be able to move forward. It wants me to have a keyword in here. Say I like working with animals. That's one thing I know about. I'm an individual, I like animals. I put in animals, I do search in Tempe. There's all different types of animal opportunities. So maybe I want to do a caregiver, not on a farm. I'm not exactly a farm boy. And I can go in there, learn about this type of job. And this tells me, has a video about what it looks like, what kind of things people doing in this job, explains what the tasks are. It talks about how many jobs are available in Arizona and in the United States. It talks about the future of that job. It talks about the wages, talks about the different experience necessary, high school education. This is the time to be able then to plan forward, right? If you worked with somebody, you know what their interests are. Now you can start talking about what kind of careers are available compared to those interests, and what do you need to do that? So you can start planning, right? So if you don't, this one, high school diploma. So maybe it's with a working young person. That's their goal. Get my diploma and move forward. No work necessary, right? Things that you can prepare. It's all right here. And I love this part where it talks about what kind of degree is necessary for these things and how many people actually have that. So it's a great way. So maybe it's a career where I need a bachelor's degree. I at least know that, and I can work towards that. Activities you might do in a regular day, all of that is there to explain, and other related occupations. But sitting down with someone virtually, right? You could do this on the phone. You could be sitting next to them going, okay, we're both looking at this thing. We can click on the video. Let's look at the video. And then tell me what you think about this job. Is this something you like? What are some of the tasks down here at the bottom that you do like? What are some things you don't like about this? And that's a perfect opportunity to truly talk about employment forward thinking and how you can work with individuals. The other things I want to talk about, they're also talking about how to talk to career counselors and how to connect to them. In your individual needs, reasonable accommodations. So you can go in and you can learn about what are reasonable accommodations. What do I need so I can start preparing? Because I think a lot of people think about their limitations on the job and they don't think about what is available to help them support them. So these are overview about different aspects of getting reasonable accommodations, right? What they are, who needs to pay for them, and you can start planning that now. There's also here 2 articles I think that are wonderful. That is through the Arizona Disability Center, in Arizona Center for Disability Law. My apologies. About going to work. What are your rights and your responsibilities regarding accommodations? So how do you ask for an employer? There's work here to be able to support that. It's a self-help guide set up for the individual. And I think this is something that would be very helpful to go through and start working with someone on this. There are also throughout DB 101 other ways to connect to reasonable accommodations throughout the website that actually talks about how to write a letter, how to request these things. Here's a searchable online accommodation. So you can go in there and you can search based on your needs. This is about finding that career again, those strengths. There's different connections there. There are several different options about, different programs about getting hired, websites, career explorations. You can go at ONET. ONET is great for that. And these are services you can sit and you can go through with individuals and plan that forward thinking. I want to show you, I love this one. So what's the future projection? So I'm going to go into these about the wages and employment trends according to the state. This takes me to One Stops. Again, an incredible resource. And I can go in and say, career exploration. I can do self-assessments, interest, work values. All of this is in here, right? Self-assessments, skills, works, all of that is all in one place for you. You can learn about different careers through here. So this is all not directly in DB1, but connected to DB 101. I do want to show one thing that I do like as the part of the ONET, Department of Labor. Their website, if you're talking about not even knowing where to look or to start, I want to be I have no idea. So let's start now and figure that out. And it says, if you want to know by a search, I want to see what, I'll know it when I see it, or I'm not really even sure. I could start here, go through the self-assessment, and what I like is that it gives you different jobs, and it lets you say, and I just love the little faces, strongly dislike, unsure, real. So you could read to somebody, and even if they have a limited expression of their emotions, they know that if both your eyes are crossed out and your tongue's sticking out, you don't like it, right? So you can be able to pick a job and stuff that you like based on an icon. So what I offer, and this right now, because I know we have very limited time today, which is awesome, but this is all kinds of self-assessments, inventory assessments, skill assessments, career exploration, and preparation, all in one still on the same page in DB 101. So you can utilize and share this information. Again, work directly alongside somebody on the phone, on Zoom, on Meetup, whatever, and actually do a session together and start exploring. Because at this particular time, I think it is an incredible opportunity for people to think about what they can do. Because what we've learned is there's incredible resilience, and that the world has kind of woken up to the self-isolation that people with disabilities normally have. So we can start thinking about moving people towards employment now. Now is the opportunity to start planning for these opportunities that are going to present themselves. People are thinking about how work is different. So now their minds are more open to work is different. Work isn't necessarily what we've always thought it was, is you leave your house, you go here, and you do this task a certain way. We have all learned to work differently. And that becomes an advantage for people with disabilities, because we always work a little differently, which is an incredible it's a benefit. It's what we bring, our different thinking and abilities, to the workforce. And now other people are thinking differently. How to problem solve, that is what we do. So you can start working virtually now with individuals utilizing DB 101. Now, that's one article. There are other ways you can provide those virtual services. You could be working with them doing, like I said, the estimators right alongside. You could be looking with them, going back to our homepage, you could be looking with them and talking about some of the myths, right? Learning about the supports, maybe even starting an own small business. So starting a small business will actually talk you through deciding if you need to start a small business that's right for you, developing that business plan, raising the money, saving the money. And individuals right now, starting a small business is actually kind of a smart thing to do, because you can create it your own way, right? The skills that you've learned you really like this particular craft and you're great at it, maybe that's your business now. So taking what we've learned about ourselves during this time of pause, we could be very helpful. And if people are worried about their benefits, there's always information to be able to help them. In going to work, there is a very simple article, finding your jobs for you again, to know about your rights, your responsibilities, right? And gives you some general information. Getting past the myths will let you know if you're afraid about losing your Social Security benefits, cash benefits, it explains it right there, right? Finding help, all of that's right there for you. And you could go into cash benefits, learn more about them, and find all the information necessary to help people move forward. I'm going to go in SSI and work right now just to kind of show you that there's a quick estimator you can go in and very simply be able to do a session. And I did not mean to click that, my apologies. Do a session, trying to get back down here, and hopefully this comes up on the screen. You have the opportunity to be able to see the snapshot about what's going to happen to your benefits. So this is a session that took me 5 clicks, and it is showing that someone who's receiving full SSI and goes to work for even 25 hours at minimum wage, which is well above what we consider the limit people should be working at, substantial gainful activity according to Social Security. This shows that this person still connected their benefits, and they went from their full benefits to $1,476, keeping an SSI check and keeping their health care, right? Doing those sessions alongside individuals and giving people the information, that's pre-employment skills. Pre-employment services and skills are all about information. It's about making sure people have informed choice, and they can only have that if they have accurate information. And DB 101 allows that to happen. So it's not just benefits, it's the pre-employment. And there's so many other ways I could utilize it, but I just wanted to focus really on that one article, some things on the sides. I'm keeping it short, Wendy, so we can have questions and have time for people. So I'm at that place, Jeff, if you want to.
Any questions out there for Nicholas?
Did you want your
Then you can
PowerPoint back
type
up?
it in the chat box.
No, my
or-
PowerPoint's fine. I'm going to leave it on DB 101. Thank you.
Okay.
I know I talk fast because I want you guys to get a lot of stuff. And while we're waiting for pause for people to type if they have something to say, we have really looked at how do we provide these services? How do we make sure people get the information they need when they need it? And especially in the time right now when you might not be able to readily get in information, how does that information get out, right? And so Eddie, hi Eddie, I love you. Eddie wants to know how does Voc Rehab interface with DB 101? So Voc Rehab actually are the funders of DB 101 in Arizona. Voc Rehab are the ones that brought DB 101 to Arizona. I think it launched in 2012, if I remember right. And they continue to fund the maintenance of it. So we have DB 101 because of Voc Rehab, so they are heavily involved. And they have policies that talk about the interaction of DB 101 throughout Voc Rehab services. Benefit counseling is an important part of Voc Rehab services for individuals who receive benefits. And Voc Rehab views DB 101 as a vital tool for getting that information.
And Nicholas, this is Kristen. You just did a training for our staff as well on, how to do all of that too. So yeah, we think it's a very valuable tool. And appreciate Nicholas's expertise and ability and the training that you provide to our staff as well.
Thank you, Kirsten. I was actually just going to do a small advertisement that Voc Rehab thinks this is so important that they pay for not only their staff, but they pay for providers across the state to be able to go to trainings. And so I am contracted to do trainings throughout the state. Right now, all virtually. I just did one directly for DES and their Voc Rehab, but these are all for professionals. So if you want to contact me and we'll put my email up there again, but nicholas@widwid.org, I can make sure that you get the next training out because Voc Rehab really wants this training out there. So that's what they do. They support it in that way. I'm going to come back to Eddie asking Ann, are you referring to community navigators through access, eligibility, et cetera? Not sure what your question is, Eddie, when I'm talking about referring to community navigators for access eligibility. I know that I can tell you that every system in Arizona, behavioral health, very involved. Behavioral health is highly involved in DB 101. The Department of Developmental Disability, the Department of Ed, we've already mentioned Voc Rehab, like all these people utilize DB 101 slightly different. Access sees DB 101 as a vital tool. I'm sure Adam will talk about that as a vital tool that leads people towards employment. So they want to push that. What other questions we have here?
So Eddie had a follow-up, he had a follow-up comment there. There are community health centers that do eligibility for access, etc. Wanting to be certain folks get benefits.
There's Eddie. Okay, so she says that, yeah, so the information is being shared through access. One of the things on access eligibility, I can tell you that utilizing DB 101 to understand maintaining access eligibility, such as access freedom to work. So those tools and resources are in there, and people are utilizing those on a regular basis. So, yes.
And then another
And
question
oh,
from Christy, probably directed to Kristen. I am a RSA vendor. Would DB 101 be considered a DRES service or work exploration or pre-eds?
Yeah, so this is Kristen. Certainly work exploration. It would be a tool to use with clients for work exploration, and I'm glad that folks are seeing it and recognizing this as a tool to use. Pre-employment transition services a little bit more nuanced, and so and you have to be a contractor in order to get, reimbursed for those services for that specific service. So that one is a little bit more dicey, and it is a work exploration tool. And so I think it could be utilized. I would want to reach out to Abel and my folks that are a little bit more knowledgeable on all of the requirements and criteria around pre-ETs for that. Disability related employment services, potentially, especially if you're looking at what are the accommodation needs, what are some of the job opportunities for job development and placement, they should be coming to you with a job goal. So that is, you wouldn't do career exploration with DRES, but to assist with some of those pieces for resume development, all of that, yes, it could be used for that as well to assist clients. So hopefully that answered your question.
And thank you, Christian. And when we're talking about pre-employment, people are going to come to Voc. And I love the idea of using that article that I showed you about self-assessment and understand what job you want. Wouldn't it be so much more helpful to go to a Voc Rehab and say, this is the job I want, this is what I know I need, and this is the projection of it? What a time saver for Voc Rehab to have a more, have that information up front to help and support people. I can tell you that DB 101 is part of the pre-ETs for DD. It's part of their curriculum. They talk about it. So I can tell you that. What else do we have, Jeff?
Yeah, so Wendy asks, can you comment on use of these tools for individuals receiving supported and customized employment services and how beneficial they are for those needing more support? And then she added that, to be sure, I mean SE and CE as competitive and integrated employment services.
Yeah, this is Kristen again. Sorry, Nicholas.
Go ahead.
For sure, a means for exploring all of that and what are the support needs, and from the customized employment standpoint, really that discovery and looking through all of that is an awesome option. I really think it's not that WID or this recreated the information. Is just a one-stop place for all of it, and you can it explodes out, right? So it's just like this one space that just explodes into so much that you can explore and research. So that's one of the reasons why we think that is so super valuable, and it is paid for by VR so that our providers can use it, our staff can use it, clients in the, you're in the community and you want to help your brother, right? Those are kind of the things that we really want folks to be able to grab a hold and research and use it.
And thank you, Kristen, because what's really important is, especially now, trying to connect to another human being that is, quote, the expert to provide you services. I think personally, as we are independent living philosophy at WID, right? So we want to empower individuals. How much more empowering is that you have the information available for you and your circle of support to bring to a provider, or to be able to do without even needing a provider, right? So there are people on this line who are not going to be connected to a service. And if they're not connected to the service, they still have access to the exact same information. That is equity across the board, right? That is the ability. And not only that, it allows individuals who don't need the services to not have to be reliant on them, so that other people who do need them can utilize them. We have, reduced resources and challenges, right? So how do we get as much information out as possible, all in one place, saying the exact same information? And DB 101 becomes that tool that, as Christian so beautifully said, explodes outward. I've used it to talk about to parents of small children, all the way up to, working with people who have disabilities and no benefits at all, right? I've even used it as a tool within the Department of Education through some of their conferences for people without disabilities, because it has information on how to apply for school. So it's so much in one crammed place. But today was focusing on pre-employment, so I'm narrowing down. What other questions do we have, Jeff?
I don't see any in the chat box. And again, people can unmute themselves and ask a question as well. So yeah.
And this is Susan Vorel, and for those of you who've been on these, you know, I usually pop in about now, and Kristen already has been talking, which has been a beautiful thing, just to make sure while you guys are thinking about any other questions. And Wendy, I want to make sure that yours got clarified, so if you have additional questions, let us know. To where we have our individuals, the state agencies, where we have them kind of pop in here now from, obviously, you guys already, if you don't know her already, Kristen Mackey is the Rehabilitation Service Administration Administrator for Voc Rehab. Adam Robson, the Employment Administrator for Excess or Medicaid, and Margaret Corcoran, Employment Services Manager for DDD. Today, we you guys all heard today, so you can join in at any point and talk about certain things, but we wanted to check in to make sure that, to let us know if you are already seeing people use virtual support. Sorry, I think somebody's not on mute. Anyway, if you're seeing people already billing for virtual supports and how they're using these, have anybody in your systems been billing for DB 101 and the activities or other things? And are you seeing that people are doing that? Is it allowable? And any examples that you guys want to share. Now that we're 5 into this, we're really hopeful that Arizona providers and other employment folks are using virtual employment services, but we'd love to hear from our agencies as well as you guys on that. So I will let Kristen add anything, or if Adam, I don't know who wants to start. Kristen, did you want to add anything to that? Have you been seeing people use it? If DB1, you know, they can bill for this kind of thing?
Yep. Yeah, it is a billable service. It's an allowable service. So it's specifically, you know, within the scope and within the parameters of several different of our contracts. Like I said, you know, work exploration is one piece of it. There's some tools that you can use for job development and placement services. So it is an allowable service that can be billed. And I'm excited that, you know, you heard Nicholas talk about, you know, you can do it over the phone, you can do it with Zoom, you can do it on a virtual meeting. So there's different ways to utilize the platform. And we really are encouraging our vendors to try to provide services virtually as much as possible, so that, you know, and again, to Nicholas's point, so that we can use this time valuably, and, you know, in line with Governor Ducey too, and the Return Stronger. So we're upskilling, we're looking at resource development, we're looking at developing ourselves in order to be able to access the jobs that are available. I will put a couple links in the chat box as well. There are employers that are hiring now. And so if there's clients and staff that are willing to go out there, they don't have, it's not compromising any health and wellness, then, you know, we're encouraging that as well. We're not prohibiting anybody from doing that. But we also recognize there are some concerns. And so if you want to stay in, let's make that use of that time and, you know, do things virtually to the greatest extent possible. So I'll put some things in chat as far as where you can go to learn about other jobs and, you know, hot topics that are happening with DES, Arizona Commerce Authority, and Office of Economic Opportunity.
This is Margaret. We've been encouraging our support coordinators to use DB 101 with families, to encourage them about learning about employment, the importance of employment, and particularly to deal with some of the myths regarding Social Security, using the calculator to help members and families better understand. So it's something that we included in our employment supports and services training for our support coordinators, and it's something that we will be emphasizing more and more as we proceed forward. In terms of our virtual services, transition to employment does include a component on DB 101, particularly related to the calculator, which I think is a very, very useful tool. But it's interesting to see all the additional assessments that have been put in there, Nicholas. I really particularly appreciated this presentation because I think it's very helpful to see that not only is it the calculator, but there are so many other very beneficial tools that, for example, our members who are DDD only or our members who are targeted can also use to help them in their process of trying to develop and obtain employment. And I guess the other question I have for you, Susan, do you want us to do any sort of updates now, or should we wait a bit and do them later?
Let's have Adam, if he wanted to speak real quick, and then if you guys have updates and we have time that are outside of what we just asked, that would be probably helpful for the crew, because I know a lot of people have been on the whole series. But Adam, I personally know how much you are a proponent of DB and a cheerleader. So but did you want to add anything, Adam? I know it's very well used in behavioral health.
What's DB 101 again? No, I'm just kidding. No, absolutely. We are huge believers in that, even to where we put it in our access employment policy around workforce competencies for staff across the state, both employment and non-employment staff, different levels on what they need to know around DB 101 and what they need to do around DB 101, but for both. And then really, those competencies on how to provide those services around DB 101. And DB 101 is not obviously the only competency there, but it's a big piece of it. And then with regards to the billing thing, it's still, business as usual with that currently, having those temporary codes available through telehealth for the rehab codes or the behavioral health codes of H2025, H2027, the pre-vocational code and the post-vocational code, as well as the habilitation code with a P2019 of supported employment. So those are obviously still continually being offered, being able to bill virtually, with that. And the way the kind of world's going right now, I know this is something that I will be pursuing in the future of continuing this, because one thing I did, I don't know if it's going to be in our update, Susan, about I reached out to my health plans to ask them, to ask their providers for specific examples on how their virtual world is going right now with working with members around employment. And a lot of what I'm seeing there is they really like it, things like increasing attendance, decreasing no-shows, obviously because you're doing it virtually, and a lot of positives coming out. And I do have some specific examples when the time comes, but so that is really, it's all of that to say it's still, those temporary codes are available until the foreseeable future, and hopefully beyond that.
Okay, that's great. Just real quick before we go into anything further with the leaders, did we address Elizabeth's comment? I apologize, I could have got distracted. How does one access job accommodation network from DB 101?
So
did we address that?
Yeah, kind of. So let me directly help, because also Kirsten put in about the at work. So on DB 1, in fact, all of that's on there. And if you just did a search at the top, you would be able to find that. If you're in the going to work and you're looking about finding a job, you're going to be able to actually connect to the Arizona at Work and actually connect to those job resources. So everything that's being shared in the links actually are connected to DB 101. That's how integrated it is. I did want to share, before you go into your leaders and stuff, definitely, search that and stuff. So much in there, as Margaret talked about, not being aware of these assessments in there. This tool is so involved that I would recommend people to really just try it out, search it. And these services can be utilized. Individuals can use themselves. I know Eddie's out there, as advocating for individuals doing stuff on their own. So this is a very valuable tool. And I can let you know that, Arizona is one of current 9 states, soon to be 10 states with a DB 101. We are extremely blessed. We have ODEP, the Office of Disability Employment Policy, looking at Arizona and what policies and how we're utilizing DB 101 to include it into national discussions. I'm working with several other states about how to bring tools such as DB 101 into virtual services ongoing. We have this now. We should be highly taking advantage of that opportunity, because so many people don't have these opportunities. So utilizing these services now on a tool that we've had since 2012, do it today. We don't have to worry about getting an app. We don't have to worry about updating something. It's stuff we can integrate right this second. And quite frankly, while it's important that it's a billable service, sometimes you need to offer stuff that's not a billable service. So here's information for everyone, not just providers. So.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Nicholas. I know we only have about 6 minutes left, and I know Margaret has an update. And Adam, I think that it would be helpful. Do you want to share one or two very quick examples of how people are billing for and using virtual services? Because I think that's important for this group to hear.
Well, the billing, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know if I unmuted myself before. Okay. Well, yeah, the how they're billing is, well, that's different for each provider.
Okay.
When it all comes back to access, it's all, for instance, pre-vocational, that 8/20/27. That's how kind of we code it. Most providers do that, but there are some providers that have kind of their own coding that will eventually tie to 8/20/27. So like on that, but it's really more examples of how they're doing the virtual support.
Yeah.
The Zoom and things like that. And then how, what they're doing with their resume creation, online search, DB 101 sessions were mentioned a few times from different providers. What else here? One of the barriers that was mentioned was around just making sure that members are able to understand the technology and providing that support to get them to understand the technology. And if they don't, meeting them where their comfort level is. However that may be, whether if it's just a phone call or if it's a complete Zoom type meeting. And then last thing here, I want to read just a couple things. I'll take 30 seconds. A couple comments actually from peers that a certain provider got that through their peer employment training students. I have enjoyed the virtual platform for our role play for people like me who are terrified of role play and public speaking. It gave me the chance to become confident in the activity. Whereas in person, I think I would still be trying to overcome stage fright in front of a whole class. I feel confident enough now that I could do it in person in front of others. That was one comment. And then another comment is, I feel the benefits of role play are just as impactful in the virtual realm. You have allowed us to try several formats like real life experiences, challenging scenarios, and group activities. So real positive information so far on the virtual world that we're in right now.
And we'll probably follow up with you to maybe have some of those folks share in a future webinar. Thank you so much, Adam. We're down to 4 minutes. Margaret, did you have something quick you wanted to update on DDD that was relevant to all this? I think you said that.
Yes, I did. This affects all of us, particularly Kristen and I. Governor Ducey appointed a new director of the Department of Economic Security, Michael Weishart, who is from within the department. He's been a very dedicated public servant who has held numerous positions. And so he is an internal candidate that has been appointed. Most recently, he was the Assistant Director of the Division of Employment and Rehabilitation Services. So it's pretty exciting for us that we have a new director of the Department of Economic Security. And only just a couple of other things. COVID, we're pretty much holding the course. We're following CMS guidelines. The only thing we've done is we've given some guidance on congregate care settings, a little additional guidance. We've also sent out surveys, and this would be very interesting, to our providers about day treatment services, employment services, and transportation, asking them a series of questions. And the surveys, the responses were due June 2nd. So we should be getting those responses and doing a report based on that. And then the last thing is we're continuing with our town halls. They've been very popular. People have really appreciated them. We've covered a lot of topics. They're every Thursday night. And we have one coming up on June 11th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at night. Thank you.
Thank you. And so with a couple minutes left, I'm going to ask Wendy Parent-Johnson, my director, or Kristen, did you have anything last for the, obviously the thank yous to everyone if I run out of time, to Nicholas and Kristen and Margaret and Adam for always being such great Arizona collaborating partners. Anything else that anybody wanted to add? because Kristen, I know you shared a lot, so I wasn't sure if there was anything else.
So Susan,
Yeah.
this is Nicholas.
Yeah.
So just jump in on what people have been talking about. So I'm on the front page of DB 101. Here's a whole thing on COVID, brings you right to the links, not only nationally, but here are our state links right here. So the information that Margaret is sharing, that's
Great.
right. When Adam's talking about role playing, I'm in going to the myths. You guys talking about virtual role playing and going into the myths. I can go into a question. The myth actually has kind of a talking script to help people get used to that language. So if you're working on virtual trainings and trying to feel more comfortable, here's where to start the discussion right there.
That's
Wow.
great.
DB 101. So it's all you want.
It's good. Yeah.
Nicholas, this was wonderful. Susan, were you getting ready to say something? Sorry.
No, I was not.
We just want to thank you so much, Nicholas. I know we all learned a lot and just scratched the surface. This is wonderful. And I know you're available if people have additional questions. And we really, really appreciate it. This is such a helpful tool. And as you say, we're very fortunate to have it. And we're fortunate to have you to teach us all of this. So thank you so very much. And everybody have a wonderful weekend. Have fun, be safe. Jeff, anything with you?
Oh, that's all. I just asked, I posted in the chat that we do have a brief survey. So if you could all please provide us with some feedback. Yeah, that's it.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you all so much.